Hi, my name is Steven Denisevich, a developer of Mono no Aware, and I'm excited to walk you through some of the gameplay in our Anxiety Hack and Slash RPG. The game itself was created as a way to engage the mainstream gaming audience and discuss anxiety and depression. Thematically, it tries to balance serious moments with comedic relief so that the player stays engaged even in the thick of talking about serious mental illness-related topics. Here we see June, the main character, exploring her apartment at the beginning of the game. Alone, comforted only by her phone and the TV, she is in search for something to eat. On the right, you can see the overlay of her phone, which is interactable and constantly buzzing and distracting her. This allows the player to get an introductory glimpse into June's life, relationships, and view of the world. Let's fast forward a bit here to save some time and not spoil the story. Eventually, June decides to just get takeout and plants herself on the couch to doom scroll on her phone. Starting as just a spark, a portal soon opens up that consumes her as she is transported into her phone and her journey finally begins. In the dungeon world, she is immediately forced to deal with an anxiety attack. No longer having her phone, she must deal with all the racing thoughts in her head and decide her own way out. Visually, the game was designed to overstimulate the player as a way to visualize anxiety. The repetitive and harsh tone of the music also demonstrates this, especially here in this early part of the narrative where the players are dealing with themes of suicide. Here, June meets Crow, the antagonist of the game, who wants nothing but control of June's body. We also meet Piri, the not-so-bright and very literal talking phone, who is always misunderstanding commands when given to them. To escape and win the game, players must find and rewire all panels on each floor of the dungeon. To find them, players must search the vast levels littered with breakable gems. When broken, these gems will help guide the player to the nearest panel. This exploration is representative of what a patient in cognitive behavioral therapy might do by exploring their feelings with a therapist, guiding them to larger memories and thoughts at the core of their mental illness. When players find a panel, they will need to rewire it to progress. To do so, they simply need to direct their block to the green one in the middle of the maze. However, it's not that easy. The player has no control over when their block moves, only what direction it goes in. They must also navigate through an obstacle course of quote-unquote dead blocks and enemies that can cause them to start over at the beginning. Altogether, this creates a tense, nail-biting gameplay sequence, which, coupled with the memory presented immediately before and after it, creates a way for players to empathize with the anxiety of the main character. As players progress, they are given one more challenge. They must fight off panic enemies in a unique turn-based RPG arena, during which players must manage both their health and their anxiety level. As June's anxiety level goes up, not only does it increase the damage from the attacking enemies, it also lowers the damage June can do to defeat them. This management of your anxiety adds an extra element to the traditional RPG gameplay that builds tension, especially when strategically deciding if you want to heal or lower your anxiety in a critical point of a match. Each of the moves is also based off of a real-world way to help with anxiety, a nod to what players can do in their real lives to help mitigate panic. Diving deeper into the dungeon, players will face higher level enemies and be challenged by larger panels they need to rewire. With each experience, they find out more about June and why she is dealing with anxiety and depression in the first place. It is our hope that players who go through this game either have a better grasp on their own anxiety or have more empathy for someone close to them who deals with it. We wanted to find a mainstream way of displaying anxiety without being purely educational. We also didn't want to avoid discussing serious topics that real people deal with on a daily basis, which is why we chose to have a more serious tone and language that accompanies it. Hopefully we found the balance in Mono no Oware, allowing anyone to enjoy the game, but for people who are struggling with anxiety and depression, to see a character that they can relate to and real-world practices that they can use to help their daily lives. Thank you.